Hi everyone, it's Rebecca here, and today I am going to be in conversation with my niece Grace. Um, she's been kind of on this journey really with B and I because she's known B since she was born. um, and has seen lots of things herself around the understanding that we share in our book. So we thought it would be really cool to kind of have a conversation. So,
Hello.
hello. So, before we started recording,
Yes.
we were talking about um, things that aren't actually there, only in our thinking, which might sound totally random just coming in at that point in the conversation. But do you want to backtrack a bit about what we were saying?
Yes. So basically, well, if I kind of link it back to what I was saying about Buddhism, like how I always studied Buddhism in school, and I loved the idea that nothing is permanent, everything changes all the time. And what we were saying was the fact that you can feel super, super anxious about, I don't know, say it's like a meeting, for example, that you have coming up, and you will be thinking about it all the time, like the Sanjay, you're constantly thinking about it, it's on your brain. But in those 24 hours of that day, there will be moments that you're not thinking about it, because I don't think it's physically possible for our brain to think about the same thing over and over and over and over and over. So even if it's for 5 minutes, you're having a conversation with a friend, or you're distracted by something that's happened on the tube or something like that, you're not actually thinking about it for those 5 minutes. Even if that's 5 minutes out of the 24 hours of that day that you're not thinking about it, you're not thinking about it. Therefore, it doesn't exist in that moment. That stress is not real in that moment. And yes, you may then remember and you're like, oh my gosh, like I remembered I was stressed, so I need to stress again, like, because God, I need to make up for lost time. Like, you don't need to, because you've literally just had living proof that for those 5 minutes you weren't stressed. And if stressing about it, I know it's so easy to say, and like I need to be told this a lot, stressing doesn't make it any better. It makes you think about it more, which puts more ideas in your head, and then you just think, oh God, it's even worse than I actually forgotten what I was stressed about in the first place, because now I'm stressed about something else linked to it. And actually, all of this is because you're thinking about it way too much.
Yeah. It's just, I just love that whole insight about whatever it is, whatever label we're giving ourselves. I'm stressed, I'm depressed, I'm, whatever it is. We think that's us permanently. And it's not. It's exactly what you said. Even, if I go back years when I suffered, a long time of depression, I gave myself that label. I'm depressed. And I was able to point out all the times, it felt like it was permanent. But what I was missing, so this is when the kids were little, I was missing the moments when we were having fun, when we were laughing, when it was bath time, when I was making them tea, when I was, whatever it was, I wasn't depressed then.
No.
But we just think that that's the label. And that's certainly something B and I share about, is the dangerous ground we get in when we label things, because we then live up to that label. And sure, for diagnosis, maybe certainly with eating disorders, it's helpful, but it's, for me, I see the whole anxiety thing as being, it's just bandied about too much. Oh, I'm anxious. How are you? Oh, I'm anxious. Oh, I'm stressed. Oh, I'm super stressed. It's like, oh, no, you're not.
Yeah.
You're having anxious thinking in that moment.
Yeah.
In that moment. And then there's another moment when you're not.
Yeah.
So in seeing that, what has that given you?
I feel like every situation is different, because once you are in a situation, if you're really stressed about something, it's very, very hard, doesn't matter what your insight is, it's very hard to tell yourself it's not going to last forever, because you feel horrendous. And it's kind of like when you've got the flu, or Or like when you're hungover and you're like, I'm never going to be well ever again. I can't imagine. I'm so jealous of myself yesterday before I started drinking. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's like, whereas actually, like, you know, you're only going to be hungover for a day, if that. And you're going to be stressed. Okay, say you started stressing on the Monday and the event that you're stressed about is on Thursday. Yes, you'll be stressed for those few days if you really have to be. But once that meeting's over, or that event, or whatever, and you've done it, even if it was horrendous, it's over. And that stress has only lasted 3 days. You can't therefore say, oh, I'm a really stressed person, because you're stressed for 3 days, and then it's the weekend.
And you weren't even stressed for 3 days, because
no,
there are going to be plenty of moments.
Because you can't be stressed. You're asleep for 8 hours a day or whatever. Even if it's 4 hours, you're asleep for part of that. And like, I mean, the worst is obviously like when I've been really stressed in the past, it's when you wake yourself up in the morning and like 2 hours before your alarm, like, I've let myself not be stressed. My body needs to wake up and be stressed. And it's the worst because you're like, your brain and your body are kind of doing two different things. Your body's like, I really need sleep. You're not letting me sleep because you want to just stress out more. But you're not always going to be stressed in those moments. Yes, okay, it's on your brain 90% of your day.
Well, that could be made up, though, you see. It's probably way less than 90%.
Yeah, true.
But here's the thing, even if it is, it's the kind of the saying, just go with it. Just be stressed in the moment, because the trouble comes when we're focusing on, but I shouldn't be, and I should. What are all these things I need to do? Tools and techniques I need to do to not feel stressed. It's like you're feeling your feelings. You can't not feel what you're feeling.
Yeah. And that's the worst. It's like when we're happy, we will accept that we're happy. I just don't want to accept that I'm stressed. No, I'm not. I refuse.
Isn't that interesting as well? That actually there are some feelings that are acceptable and others that we deem as not acceptable. They're all acceptable.
But even when you're happy, you know you're not going to be happy forever, and then you start thinking, you're like, oh, I want to hold on to this moment, or oh, but tomorrow, or like I remember the classic example that my teacher would, when we were learning about Buddhism and how nothing lasts forever. He had this analogy of, say you're going on a girls' holiday to Ibiza. Mm-hmm. You're really excited for, the week before. Then you get there, you're having fun. By day 3, you're like, oh, I've only got 4 days left, and already you're sad about it ending. And then you've got the holiday blues. And actually, think about how much time was spent being sad over happy rather than just enjoying and living in the moment.
Yeah,
you're letting your negative thoughts take over, yet we are always striving to be happy, but we're not actually allowing ourselves to be, because we just kind of accept, oh, well, because I mean, God, if negative thoughts were what we wanted, we'd be happy all the time. Because it's so easy to be negative, let's be real, like it is. But nothing's easy.
That's just perfect. That's perfect. Our thinking is what gets us in trouble when we just start, exactly that thing you've just said about the girls' holiday. It's like, we're already planning, to be over by focusing on what's the next thing to happen, rather than being now, because the moment is perfect. It's what it is. Eckhart Tolle talks about, I'm paraphrasing, but, our the present moment is what it is. Our suffering is when we're focusing on what has already been and trying to change that to what might come and are worrying about it. And we're missing the juice that's in the now.
Exactly.
Right here.